This is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Not everybody, and I have to say that. I always preface it by saying, not everybody. But there's tremendous dishonesty, pure outright dishonesty from the media.
President Trump continues his war with the media. Weeks after entering the White House, he's accusing the press of not covering terrorism for ulterior motives, turning positive stories negative, and lying. But as we have seen, representatives from his administration have been caught fibbing themselves. So how can you get the truth when our Facebook timelines and Twitter feeds are increasingly becoming burdened with fake news? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on fake news coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight in Sarasota, where 5 high-wire performers with Circus Sarasota are in the hospital tonight after falling 25 feet. 2 were taken to Lakewood Ranch Medical Center, while the other 3 were brought to Sarasota Memorial Hospital. Of the 3 at SMH, 2 are in critical condition and 1 is in guarded condition. One of the performers was taken into surgery. There are reports of a severe brain injury.
We did have, our whole crew available today when we heard about the nature of the incident with the fall from 30 to 35 feet. We did make all of them level 1 trauma alerts on arrival so that all of our services were available to help these people.
Doctors say they expect the performers to recover. We'll have more on their conditions coming up tonight at 11. The accident took place at the Circus Sarasota tent at the University Town Center during a rehearsal. According to the circus, the group was attempting an 8-person pyramid, an act that would have set a new world record. They successfully completed the act just yesterday, but this time something went wrong. The common message from the director of Circus Sarasota and the founder of the Circus Arts Conservatory: this was an accident.
We take safety very seriously at Circus Sarasota. We make sure safety precautions are adhered to. And I want to be clear that this was not an equipment or rigging failure. Despite that diligence within our industry, accidents do happen.
The show must go on. This is not the first accident, obviously, and of course, unfortunately, accidents happen.
Nick Wallenda was not among the injured, although he is part of the performance. Circus Sarasota still plans to open its show on Friday. We are learning more tonight about a deadly boating accident in Sarasota Bay. Florida Fish and Wildlife responded to the accident near the Ringling Museum around 7:45 last night. 2 men were thrown from a 20-foot boat. 47-year-old Anthony Espinoza Jr. of Houston was killed. The other passenger, 48-year-old Alessandro Duval of Sarasota, was not hurt and was able to swim to shore. An investigation continues. New developments in the case against former Sarasota County Sheriff's Deputy Frank Bybee. The Sheriff's Office says late last night detectives charged Bybee with 6 new felonies, including 4 counts of criminal use of personal identification and 2 counts of accessing an electronic device without authority. That's in addition to 19 other charges against Bybee, including attempted murder. He remains jailed on $380,000 bond. Nonprofits in Manatee County are coming together to develop a strategy to deal with the increasing number of children in foster care because of the opioid epidemic. The first in a series of 6 meetings was held today to work out how to distribute grant money from the Manatee Community Foundation. According to the Department of Children and Families, more than 400 children in Manatee County were removed from their homes in the first 10 months of 2016.
There's a place, I think, for everybody in the community to get involved in helping, with this crisis, not just with the parents, with the kids who are kind of those victims that don't have a voice.
The foundation will release its plan on addressing foster care needs in April. The United Way of Manatee County started nearly 75 years ago, but times are changing. It is merging with United Way Suncoast. An announcement today, the organizations will be merging over the next 6 months. We're told services won't be changed for those who rely on them. United Way focuses on issues of health, education, and financial stability. It is safe to swim again in Palmasola Beach in South Manatee County. Health officials are lifting the no swim advisory. It was put on effect January 30th after bacteria samples reached unsafe levels. Palmasola Beach is west of 81st Street West on the south side of the causeway. And Bob, that is good news because it's beautiful weather out there.
Yeah, normally you would think swimming this time of year out of the question. And water temperatures typically in the upper 50s to even mid 50s, but today 70-degree water temperature. It's been an unseasonably warm winter thus far, and we are looking for some cooler temperatures though, as a cold front will eventually slide down and cool us down just for a little bit of period of time though. Not a lot expected with this front. In fact, the front itself is still well back to our north. It is up here near the panhandle of Florida. There's a low pressure area right there. This is going to become a nor'easter with dumping up to nearly 2 feet of snow from New York to Boston over the next 48 hours. So this is a pretty big snowstorm, which is going to cause all sorts of headaches for folks traveling out of the northeast and traveling to it. But this cold front will move through our area again tomorrow. Looks like by midday it should be clearing our area. Right now that cold front stretching across parts of the panhandle of Florida, creating a few showers. Nothing like the storms we saw last night where we had severe weather from Louisiana all the way over to Florida. But there are some storms up there into South Georgia near Valdosta, stretching down toward Tallahassee, but nothing severe as I mentioned. No rain here. Looks like it'll stay dry too for the evening. So if you have any plans this evening, it should not be a problem. The only problem we may see, and it could be fairly significant as far as drivers are concerned, is the fog, the sea fog, which can be rather thick at times as it rolls in from the Gulf of Mexico. We'll have more on that, and we'll let you know about that cold front coming away.
Almost like San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly, sea fog. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, President Trump is calling news that is negative fake news. When our nation's leader is discrediting the press, what does it mean for all of us? The story when we return.
ABC 7 News at 7, weeknights. ABC 7 My Suncoast News. We provide the news everywhere you are. All your devices, including Apple TV, Roku, and the fastest-growing news app on Amazon Fire, offering 24 hours of live news and entertainment, along with video on demand. Visit mysuncoast.com and click on the mobile tab. All the download info is in one convenient location. ABC 7 My Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Whether a family member needs a little extra help around the house, assistance recovering from a hospital stay, or someone to check in on them throughout the week, Right at Home's in-home care is the answer. Your loved one deserves the right care, and now we need caregivers to help give the right care for the right reasons, the right way. At Right at Home, we're one of the only private home health agencies in this area with the opportunity to earn paid time off. If you're someone who loves helping people, take a look at our website and click on Jobs to join our team today.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-809-5196 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-809-5196. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
Go ahead. Make a fashion statement. Demand something more than just ordinary. Capture elegance in every turn and drive with flair. Where beautiful styling is standard. Stop in and take a test drive. I'll guarantee you'll never go back to plain vanilla again. The all-new 2017 Fiat 500, starting at $14,999. Only at Sunset Fiat in Sarasota.
Ask any president, Obama, Bush, Clinton, if they liked how they were covered in the press, and the answer will be no. They're not supposed to. The job of journalists is to ask tough questions, speak truth to power, hold the powerful accountable. But President Trump is bringing that normally adversarial relationship to a whole new level. And ABC 7's Dwayne Lindo joins us with more. Dwayne.
Well, that's right, Alan. Trashing the press from day one, accusing them of dishonesty with inaugural coverage. And now with coverage of terrorist attacks. It's proving to be challenging for media journalists going forward.
For President Trump, the profession of journalism is synonymous with the word dishonesty.
It's gotten to a point where it's not even being reported. And in many cases, the very, very dishonest press doesn't want to report it.
On Monday, Trump went a step further while in Tampa, claiming the media was intentionally underreporting terrorist attacks. For some, when it comes to media, they have their doubts.
I don't trust the media at all.
You know, I think the media is the most important thing that we have for our democracy, but over the years, I've gotten less and less trusting of it.
According to a recent Gallup poll, 32% say they have a great deal or a fair amount of trust in mainstream media, down 8 percentage points from last year. Sarasota Herald political editor Zach Anderson says Trump's attack on the media may be part of the reason.
I think it has within a certain segment of society, especially amongst conservatives and Trump supporters who really hear what he says and take it to heart.
Anderson also attributes media's duty to hold politicians accountable with fact-checking.
People didn't quite see them lining up with the facts as we know it. So, you know, there has been sort of a testy relationship with the media, sort of fact-checking a lot of what he said. And then, obviously, he hasn't really taken too kindly to some of that.
And as one Trump supporter says, Trump is unfairly treated.
Every little thing he does is scrutinized. But President Obama got a free pass for 8 years.
Not necessarily, says New College's political science professor Frank Alcock. It all gets back to fact-checking.
He continues to push his own version or his own reality that morphs on a day-to-day basis, and in the process, the negative coverage that he gets from mainstream media, he will continually attack it and try to delegitimize it.
Both say there may be challenges ahead for journalists covering the new administration.
We've never seen anything like this. I do think it will be antagonistic. I do not think there's going to be a happy ending to this. And there's a possibility of it getting extremely nasty.
It's going to be one of the more adversarial relationships between a president and the media on a rolling, ongoing basis that we've seen in decades and a long, long time.
Now, one person we spoke with says he sensed a weakness in mainstream media, citing that many news organizations have had to eliminate jobs in recent years as folks who watch news move to less profitable digital platforms.
Dwayne, thank you. Coming up, an amazing panel on the trapezoid. Two former reporters at Breitbart, one of the top journalism professors in the country, and a top civil liberties and First Amendment attorney. You are not going to want to miss this.
Florida's last private island is a waterfront lifestyle like no other. This is Harbor Isle, just 5 minutes from the sugar sand beaches of Anna Maria Island. This sun-splashed paradise invites you to enjoy natural adventures and all the recreation of a tropical resort. Island coach homes and waterfront condos are now available from the high 400s, plus incredible savings on move-in ready homes. Come tour 6 designer models. This is the time of your life. Make it island time at Harbor Isle. Go to mintofla.com now.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Luxury for less at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKZ Sports Utility for $249 per month or a 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We're located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
ideologue. I am an originalist.
Welcome back. Fake news became a popular term during the presidential campaign to describe false, fictitious, phony stories about Hillary Clinton planted in news feeds and social media by the Russians. President Trump has since co-opted the term to describe critical stories about him and his administration. After CNN broke the story that U.S. intelligence services briefed President-elect Trump about reports that the Russians have compromising information about him, Trump refused to take questions from the network, calling CNN fake news. Trump has continued what he calls a running war with the press. News organizations have continued to point out factually false statements by the president, with the president regularly responding in 140 characters, sometimes calling those stories fake news. Joining us for more on fake news and the relationship between President Trump and the media are Andrea Mogensen, an attorney who deals with First Amendment issues, Jen Lawrence, Vice President of the America First Project, Patrick Howley, Editor-in-Chief of BigLeaguePolitics.com, and joining us by Skype is Al Tompkins, Senior Faculty Member at the Poynter Institute. Now, I actually want to start with you because you really have your finger on the pulse of all of this, and describe to me how concerned you are about not only the media's relationship with the new president, but the impact it's having on our readers and our viewers and what we are to believe.
Well, it's difficult for people who don't want to believe that the person that they are following is not exactly telling them the truth. That's hard for people to believe. It was hard for Obama followers to believe, and it's hard for Trump followers to believe, and Reagan followers, and so on and so on. There's nothing new about that. What's different is that in this case, we have a president who appears to go in front of the public with whatever is top of mind without thoroughly thinking it out. And his associates are taking the cue from him and doing pretty much the same thing, like talking about massacres that did not occur. So what happens also is that he is a master at creating phrases that he repeats over and over, and they sort of take over the whole conversation. So when he talks about fake news, he's mostly talking about things that he wishes weren't reported the way they're reported. It doesn't mean that they're actually wrong. It just means he doesn't like it. He says that journalists aren't covering terrorism. It's just not true. He says that murders are up in the United States. It's just not true.
Well, and now let me jump in there right now and get Jen to respond to that, because I mean the whole thing about the murder rate in the U.S. that was just a couple of days ago. Factually, it wasn't true. You could argue about whether the president misspoke or not, but and I know both of you come from Breitbart, which comes from a certain perspective. We could get into that sometime, but when the president says something demonstrably false, whether it's about the murder rate or issues involving how many people voted illegally in the election, what do reporters like you think?
I mean, I think that it's a sign of what's going on in this country. And I think that there are major news outlets such as CNN, MSNBC, who have literally reported fake stories. They have put fake stories out there that people have believed over and over and over and again.
Let me just challenge you on one thing. It's one thing to make a mistake in a story. For instance, there was an issue about whether President Trump removed Martin Luther King's bust from the Oval Office. That was an error. But there's a difference between that and a deliberate misreporting.
Yes, absolutely. And I can speak to a deliberate misreporting. I was at the 9/11 memorial on September 11th when Hillary Clinton had her medical episode, and Breitbart and Fox News were the only two outlets reporting, while I personally watched for 2 hours. The mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, AP, all got together for 2 hours in the press pin and refused to report the story that Hillary Clinton had a health episode. They held the story for 2 hours until they could verify their sources, until they got in a little group and they decided what that story was going to be. So that's where I think the problem is in this country. It's with the mainstream media, and when they can clean up their act, well, then let's start reporting the truth.
Al, I want to get a brief response, since you are the deacon of journalism. I mean, does Jen have a point there?
No.
Okay, that's a brief response.
I mean, come on, 2 hours? I was just going to take a quick look online to see if I could get their first mention. So that's not my memory of it, but rather than guess, I'm going to actually look and see if I can find the
I really would challenge you to, actually, because I was standing there. So
All right.
I was firsthand, I was there. So if you want to challenge me about what I personally saw with my own eyes, yeah, where were these people?
I really don't care what you saw. What I care about.
Well, that's
don't?
fine.
You don't care about a presidential candidate
All right,
collapsing?
We're going to get back to that in a moment, but I wanted to bring Andrea in here because you defend the First Amendment and you are very involved with a lot of civil liberties issues all across Florida. Do you see a problem when you have two sides who are seeing the same scene differently in terms of the public confidence, in terms of what is actually happening?
Well, really honestly, almost any scene will be viewed differently by different people. That's just a reality. But when it comes to journalism, what's important and what's coming out, even in this discussion, is fact-checking. Not all journalistic outlets are required to cover events that I think are important or someone else thinks are important or the right thinks is important or the left thinks is important. What is important is when stories are covered, that they're covered independently and that they're fact-checked and that they're accurate. And that's where we're running into a problem. And it's somewhat a direct consequence of us having access to less responsible journalistic sources on the internet. Anyone can put up a website, call themselves, a particular publication and put things out there. And while that's First Amendment protected, as a citizen, you should educate yourself about what it is you're viewing.
We only have about 30 seconds left in this segment. You say it's democracy, but shouldn't anybody who's putting stuff out there check their facts?
Yes, but who gets to be the arbiter of that? I mean, the democratization of media on the internet is a fantastic thing, and Matt Drudge and the late Andrew Breitbart deserve a lot of credit for starting this movement, a resistance movement against the mainstream media that for more than 15, 20 years has been fudging things and lying and committing very big errors. And Trump, as a response, had to campaign against the media because the media was acting as the arm of the Hillary Clinton campaign.
All right, let's just take a pause, and we are only obviously just getting started on our discussion of fake news. Coming up, we'll have more right after our check with the weather. Stay with us.
It's fine that other people like you. It's more important that you like yourself. And I'm comfortable with every part of me. Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound assures me that I'm not forgotten. They care that I'm okay. My name is Asha Ida Bell. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Man, he used to hang out with us. Yeah, and then he just stopped. I hope he's gonna be okay.
1 in 5 of us has a mental health condition, but emotional pain can be hard to spot and harder to talk about. Learn the 5 signs of emotional suffering. If you see one or more signs in someone you care about, reach out, connect, and offer to help.
Megan, come sit with us.
And our answers. Visit changedirection.org.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
Call now, 800-290-0352. 800-290-0352.
I heard about the Dotole Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotole Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Our discussion of fake news continues in just a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Thanks. I'll get a look at this photo sent into Twitter. This was the Twitter page of Sarasota City of Sarasota, and getting a nice shot on the bay with the Pelicans watching the people out there on the water going by on their boat, which was pretty good as far as the boat traffic goes. The seas weren't all that high. Tomorrow, a different story. We're going to see small craft advisories issued for coastal waters along the Sun Coast. Look at these clouds, low-level clouds rolling in across parts of the Gulf of Mexico. And then this fog bank, which is starting to develop, is going to be pretty significant. Sea fog is a real possibility, already is in some cases. A chance for some morning showers. They're not going to be all that intense. We saw some pretty heavy weather earlier this morning. We won't see as many storms around, and there'll be a little less action. Turning windy and cooler tomorrow afternoon. As the front moves through, winds will switch around to the northwest, pick up in speed, and bring in some slightly cooler air. Right now, the only rain we can find is to the north of us right now, and it looks like this shower activity continues to push off basically to the east. Nothing like we saw last night with the severe weather and tornadoes from Louisiana all the way over to Georgia and Florida. A different story tonight. Still some showers out there, some moderate to heavy rainfall heading toward I-75 and also just to the northeast of Tallahassee. Pretty hefty cell there, but again, no severe weather anticipated. Well, here's a look at our current conditions. 72 degrees right now. Dew point's way up there. 70 degrees. 70-degree dew point means that we're in very muggy conditions as a result of the south winds at 7. The pressure 29.99 inches. And when the temperature and dew point gets so close to one another, we do get the fog forming, and that's what we're seeing right now. The high today was warm, 77. 73 is the average. 85 the record set in 1957. We saw some pretty good rainfall this morning. Over a half-inch reported at the Sarasota Bradian Airport. Temperatures statewide, 72 in Pensacola, 79 now in Miami, and 77 in Key West, Orlando at 77. Those winds will switch. Now, they'll be out of the southwest tonight, bringing that sea fog on shore. And then by tomorrow, say around 10, 11 o'clock, they start to switch to more of a northerly direction, and they pick up in intensity. So get ready for a breezy afternoon, but it will start to clear everything out of here pretty quickly, too, by midday. Sea fog likely. South winds this evening switching around to the west, and then the southwest turns to the northwest tomorrow afternoon. A high tide upcoming, 10:03. Sunrise will be at 7:11. The forecast, that sea fog will be an issue. Otherwise, warm overnight. Low temperatures, mid-60s. Tomorrow, look for some morning fog, partly cloudy, a 30% chance for mainly morning showers, and a 75 for your high. A bit cooler just for one day on Friday, and then we warm up quite nicely for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday looking pretty good. Alan will be right back right after this.
Flooring Depot has been serving Sarasota and Manatee counties for over 20 years with the best products and installation. Flooring Depot offers carpet, tile, hardwood, and more. Before you buy, give us a try. Stop by our showroom or visit us on the web at bestvaluecarpet.com.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
I owed the IRS $20,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions Now.
Call 1-800-565-7740. That's 1-800-565-7740.
Contemporary Cabinetry and Closet Concepts. Our strength is in building a relationship with our clients. Locally owned and operated for over 30 years. When you organize your home, you simplify your life. Call today for a free in-home consultation or visit the web at contemporarycabinetry.srq.com.
Our goal is to do things better than anybody in the country. What makes Sarasota Memorial Hospital's program so special is that it's taking care of the patient in every aspect of cardiovascular disease. And in this community, the patients are very active. The idea is not just to get them over that operation, but to get them back to doing the things that they enjoy doing.
We are going to build a great society.
where no man or woman was a victim of fear or poverty or hatred, where every man and woman has a chance for fulfillment and prosperity and hope.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing the relationship between the White House and the press and the impact of fake news on the media landscape. Our guests tonight are civil rights attorney Andrea Mogensen, Jen Lawrence with the America First Project, Patrick Howley of BigLeaguePolitics.com, and joining us by Skype is Al Tompkins of the Poynter Institute in St. Pete. And Al, I want to start with you, and if you could respond to something that Patrick was talking about. Who is the arbiter of truth? We have PolitiFact, which basically fact checks all the candidates during the campaign, but it seems that the public in general kind of ignores it.
Well, I don't know if they ignore it or not. Let me come back to the challenge of one of your guests there, who I think said that there was, what did they say, a 2-hour delay in reporting that collapse video?
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, it was, the first video was posted on YouTube at 9:32 Eastern Time, 9:37. Rick Leventhal from Fox News reported it. Then, not very long after that, at 10:04, that was posted. Let's see if I can get it in front of the camera.
I'm sorry, I can't read it. Can you read it for me?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Hillary
And who's it by?
I'm having a memorial 30 minutes ago. Campaign aides won't comment on where she is now.
Okay, so they won't report.
By Grant Jaffe, another producer.
So they're relying on the Clinton campaign.
Yeah, they're again going to the Clinton campaign. They're not reporting what's happening on the ground.
Let's
I was there.
But you know, the fact is, Jen, you know, I've covered lots of stories and driven home and heard other reporters report on the story that I've been to, and things are not always what I witnessed, but I have never really delivered an attitude in terms of why another reporter sees something differently or maybe at a different time. But let's just continue on with some of the points that we've been trying to make, because Sebastian Gorka is one of the President Trump's aides right now, and he said just the other day that the media has an attitude, which you could debate whether or not that's true, but because of that, the White House is continue to use the term fake news. So what is the public to believe when demonstrably there is an issue about the murder rate or whether there's evidence of massive voter fraud that cannot be proven, and the White House labels it fake news when the facts would say differently?
Well, you know, President Trump is not referring to the entire press corps. He's referring to some establishment outlets like the Washington Post, which is now owned by one billionaire named Jeff Bezos. And I challenge my friend at the Poynter Institute to tell me it's a good idea for one billionaire with his own financial interests to control the most prestigious, supposedly, newspaper in America. But, you know, what we're seeing right now is the democratization of the White House press corps as well. We have the Daily Mail in there. We have the Daily Caller in there. We have Breitbart in there. We have people who are plugged into populists on the internet who are now finally able to ask a question in the White House press conference. That was never the case, you know, for decades, when it was only a chosen few who were allowed to go in.
Andrea, I want to ask you a question because, number one, I think a lot of people have said that there are more media outlets able to ask questions at the White House press briefing. They've opened up a Skype seat, and they're allowing local media organizations to ask those questions, and that's probably a good thing, I would think you would believe.
I would say so.
Let me ask you this, though. During the campaign, the president often talked about changing the libel laws. Do you think that was just campaign rhetoric responding to a lot of negative press, or do you think that there that there would be any appetite in the Congress to do something like that?
Well, I'm not sure that that would be a strategy that would actually be helpful or effective to the Trump administration anyway, but it does seem to be one of the efforts. When this administration doesn't like something, they usually threaten pushback. They usually threaten some type of negative impact on whoever their detractors appear to be, and basically that's his typical attitude, I'll sue the pants off you if you say something bad about me.
Is it fair to say that in the early days of the Obama administration, the same thing happened? They questioned about whether Fox News should have a seat in the White House briefing room, and it was a long time before the president went on Fox News to do an interview?
I think that's true, and I think all administrations have detractors. I mean, that's part of we have primarily a two-party system, and half the people don't get their way every single time, so there's always going to be detractors. And it's not my perception that the media is controlled by one party or another. It depends on what you're talking about when you're talking about the media.
Al, let me ask you this. Patrick brought up the fact that the Washington Post is owned by a billionaire. It is true that the media has gone under an incredible consolidation, which actually began in the Reagan administration, by the way. Do you see it is a problem that some of the largest news organizations and media companies are owned by a smaller amount of people?
Well, I understand the concern, and I've worked for small organizations and big ones, and I have to say that some of the bigger organizations I've worked for have been some of the better organizations, although I've worked for some small family-owned groups like you who are pretty responsible citizens. So it depends more on what the owner wants to do with it than anything else. What I would say is this. We're not in the same era that we were pre-Reagan, for example, when there was so few that you could choose from for truth. You can choose Breitbart if you want to, or you can choose Fox News if you want to, or you can choose CNN if you want to, or any one of a gazillion other websites and sources. You can graze along and get whatever you want from whomever you want. That's true. So you can decide now. So I'm a lot less concerned about the power structure of ownership than I would have been if this were the 70s, when there were very few outlets that you could rely on every day. There were radio that largely not corporately owned. Now there are. And there was no internet. Cable was just beginning. But they said the same thing about CNN and Turner.
And I do believe, if you remember, the Vice President Spiro Agnew calling the, what was it, the negative nabobs of negativism. So it's always been out there. But now we have a president who tweets, any negative polls are fake news. And I'm wondering what your take about that is, because there are good polls, there are bad polls, but
absolutely,
if it's bad news, doesn't mean it's fake.
Well, I think that we're missing the whole point here. Where did fake news come from? And the media has done this to themselves. You have anchors like Brian Williams, who outwardly lied, got caught for it.
And it cost him great.
But now he got hired at MSNBC. So what does that have to say about MSNBC when you hire a known liar to report the news? Okay. So if we're gonna talk about fake media, let's talk about fake media. Until President Trump brought this up and exposed what the media was doing.
Just for a moment, is all bad news by definition fake news?
No. No, but we're referring to a few mainstream establishment outlets that are very powerful. For instance, in Cleveland, I caught a CNN Insta poll showing that 70% of the CNN audience appreciated and liked and enjoyed President Trump's speech. I reported that, and immediately CNN pulled it down off of the screen and actually ran an article on CNN.com saying that CNN Insta polls are not reliable. So I got them to admit that their own polling system is inaccurate, and they had to do it, even though they knew that the Insta poll was right. They knew that their polling was right because they had to do it because they had an agenda.
Andrea, let me ask you, what are our viewers supposed to make out of this conversation tonight? Because although the media viewership is more dispersed than ever before, people still tune in to watch this and read the local paper, and they are more unsure than ever of what to believe.
And they should be. I think that you have to ask yourself, as a citizen, as an individual, what am I getting my news for? If I'm trying to get my news to get the truth, then you should go to more than one source. If you're trying to get the news for it to be entertained, then pick one of the media sources that you know is consistent with your beliefs. There are some media sources that are far to the right, some that are far to the left, and it's all in the middle.
That's a good place to take a quick break. When we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about President Trump's economic policies when we come back.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now, 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
The official salon of ABC7.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. We promise we're more than a dealership. We're a destination with a movie theater, massage room, aquarium, cafe, and more. We promise to give you top dollar for your trade, even if you don't buy from us. And if you do, we promise you the best deal. Bring us any competitor's ad and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Welcome back. Is fake news a reality we need to get used to? What can the press do to better serve the public when even the White House is releasing false information sometimes? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Al, how concerned are you about where we are right now with the president tweeting, accusing whether it's CBS, CNN, or whatever of fake news, and the media constantly, almost every day, saying the president is simply not telling the truth?
Well, I trust the public to be able to figure out what's true and what's not true. If you don't trust the public to do that, then we might as well get rid of the whole election system and not have juries. We're just going to need a benevolent king to lead us. I do believe that people have enough common sense to sort through it. I do get worried, though, when, like at the beginning of this program, you had a gentleman who said that Obama got a free ride. He just didn't. It's just not the way it was. In 2013, PolitiFact, for example, called Obama the lie of the year. It was, remember, you could keep your provider. And then in 2015, PolitiFact called Trump's lies the lies of the year. It's not true he got a free ride. It may seem like that to people who didn't like him, just as it will seem like to Trump supporters that he's getting attacked too often.
And Andrea, let me go to
long look.
All right. We're running out of time, so I wanted to get everybody in here. Andrea, I mean, we live in Sarasota. A lot of people do believe that President Obama got a free ride. There are also, you know, a lot of people who came out in the days after the inauguration to, you know, take issue with President Trump.
There is no one who takes public office that is not going to suffer criticism. That's just the way it is. That's one of the beautiful things about the United States. We have a First Amendment right to challenge. We have a First Amendment right to transparency, to know and to express our opinions. There's going to be criticism, and saying criticism, you know, is fake. That's really just political. It has nothing to do with anything. It's because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not true. What's important is that we get our news from a variety of sources and that we pay attention to what's true as citizens.
Jen, does it do anybody good if there is an increasingly toxic relationship between the president, the press, and the public?
Well, I think that's on the press, right? If they start reporting the story, how the story is supposed to report it, and they're out there and they're getting the story and they're reporting it cleanly, yes, then there is no need for that. But right now, you have mainstream media outlets, you have everybody else who has attacked Trump since day one, reporting fake stories on him, lying about him and everything else, and it took him standing up for the American people to say, wait a second, the media is doing you a disservice. So it's up to the American people to go out and research their own, and it's up to journalists to have journalistic integrity.
And Patrick gets the last word, but I'll ask the question this way. When the president says something that simply is demonstrably not true, does not, whether it's CBS, CNN, the Washington Post, or ABC7, have the responsibility to point that out?
I believe that of every politician, but I also believe that of the press. And when the Tea Party started, I read an article in the Washington Post that disgusted me, in which they were comparing elderly people who just wanted their health care plans back with George Wallace, and saying that the Tea Party was racist. And that narrative continued for years. And so I devoted my adult life to fighting against this. And the great honor of my life was working for Breitbart during a period where we got the traffic up to 35 million unique visitors, and we changed the face of news. And so this is a revolution that we want you to be a part of, and continue going to alternative news sites.
All right, and there is more to come. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, the economy under President Trump. Since taking office, the president has signed a series of executive orders to remove the U.S. from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, deregulate industry, as well as Wall Street. He is also threatening tariffs against some of our closest trading partners like Mexico and China. And we asked you what you thought about those policies. Chris Cole writes, the TPP did not benefit the U.S. at all. We need a strong middle class, and jobs will improve the middle class. Robert Thiel writes, I feel in the short term they will improve the economy, but in the long term, especially if he imposes tariffs on foreign trade, it will hurt us. Pulling out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership will let China take over as the dominant world trading partner instead of us, which will damage us. And Keith Thoreau writes, could, that's all I'm hearing. Look, nothing has worked in our favor to this point. Let's try Trump's plan. Well, what do you think of President Trump's relationship with the press and fake news? Let us know by visiting our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, want to watch past roundtable discussions? They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. Andrea Mogensen is an attorney who handles cases involving the First Amendment. Jen Lawrence is a former writer for Breitbart News, and Patrick Howley is the editor-in-chief of BigLeaguePolitics.com, and Al Tompkins is a senior faculty member at the Poynter Institute. He joined us by Skype. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather. Plus, do you want your elected leaders to fight for sanctuary cities? It could cost them their job under a new bill being filed. We'll have the details in our prime time headlines.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Are you considering joint replacement or revision surgery? Consider this. Dr. Edward Stolarski has performed thousands of successful joint replacement procedures and trained surgeons from all over the world. Using advanced technologies, Dr. Stolarski is able to perform some of the most complex surgeries.
I wish I knew about Dr. Stolarski much sooner.
After the surgery, I don't have any pain. It's like I've got a 16-year-old hip.
My name's Ed Stolarski. What I really do is I give people back their life.
Schedule a consultation today.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in just a moment, but first let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. A beautiful night, or at least a day, and now the night is calling for some fog to roll in. We're not looking at any kind of rough weather overnight like we saw last night. Some pretty heavy showers and a few isolated thunderstorms moved through early this morning, but this next front isn't going to produce a whole lot of rough weather for us here, but it is producing a few scattered storms to the north of us, not nearly as bad as it was last night at this hour. And so that gives you a little indication what we'll deal with as it makes its way on through. Right now into South Georgia, near Thomasville, stretching off toward Valdosta, the showers are there. What we have is already starting to form. I'll step out of the way right. It's a shot from our tower cam. You can see that low cloud deck and fog already starting to roll in. That sea fog will get rather thick too overnight and tomorrow morning. Temperature at 70 and the dew point way up there at 70 degrees. 77 the high today, well above average. It's been warm all week long for the most part. And as far as the forecast goes, here it is. Futurecast showing some showers advancing toward our area, kind of weakening as a front pushes on through. The front will push through by around 1 o'clock or so and clear our area. And then we'll see windy and cooler conditions as a nor'easter rages over parts of New York all the way to Boston. They could see up to 2 feet of snow there in the upcoming 48 hours. You can see it developing right here in Ohio Valley, and then it will move off to the northeast. Another storm system moving in out west, but this is the main feature that we'll be talking about over the next couple of days. Right now, producing snowfall in Ohio. You can see a lot of watches and warnings over the northeast. These are all winter storm warnings that cover most of eastern portions of Pennsylvania, southeast New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all the way up into Maine, and then out west, as it has been all winter long. More advisories for them. As far as the snowfall forecast goes over the next 2 days, you can see the bullseye over the northern New England states, and right there to the west of Boston, projecting up to 18 to 24 inches of snowfall. Lesser amounts, but still pretty high, up to a foot of snow in New York, stretching all the way off into Maine. Temperatures right now into the 40s and 50s over the northeast, so pretty warm, but that's soon to change as some of this Arctic air will spill in across the northeast United States. Now for boaters, winds out of the south tonight at 10 knots, and then they'll switch around to the west at around 15 to 20 knots. So more than likely, small craft advisories will be issued for the area tomorrow as those winds pick up. 7-day forecast calling for some fog tomorrow morning, a chance for a few morning showers, tapering off in the afternoon. Cool on Friday, sunshine though, and then a beautiful weekend in store. Well, your primetime headlines with Alan Cohn will be up next. Stick around.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local boys and girls clubs. Great futures start here.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need
the Debt Ninja. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you could be facing wage garnishments, levies, liens, property seizure, cancellation of business license, closure of business. The Debt Ninja fights your IRS debt. That's why you need the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja has found the best companies in the country who are on your side to fight debt. Want to learn if you qualify for the IRS Financial Hardship Program? Stop the IRS from garnishing your wages. Even if your bank account has been seized, if you have undeclared taxes, if you have existing IRS debt, it's not too late to call, so grab your phone now. Call the Debt Ninja at 800-945-0083. That's 800-945-0083. Settle your IRS debt to get the power of the Debt Ninja. Dial this number now, 800-945-0083.
Join us for Sarasota Opera's 2017 Winter Festival, opening February 11th. Featuring Puccini's most famous opera, Madame Butterfly, Rossini's delightful comedy, The Italian Girl in Algiers, Poulenc's heartbreaking Dialogues of the Carmelites, in the medieval thriller The Love of Three Kings by Italo Montemezzi. Tickets are on sale now. Call 941-328-1300 or visit SarasotaOpera.org.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Now for your primetime headlines, President Trump is taking aim at the federal judges who will decide the fate of his travel ban. He spoke to law enforcement today about the legal battle he claims puts Americans at risk. ABC's Janae Norman is in Washington with the latest on the legal showdown.
President Trump still railing against the legal challenge that put a halt to his executive order on immigration.
I don't ever want to call a court biased, so I won't call it biased. And we haven't had a decision yet. But courts seem to be so political.
The fate of that immigration ban from 7 majority Muslim countries now up to the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals, though the president has acknowledged the case could go all the way to the Supreme Court. But today insisting that shouldn't be necessary because the law is on his side.
If you were a good student in high school or a bad student in high school, you can understand this. And it's really incredible to me that we have a court case that's going on so long.
While he takes on the judicial branch of government, in Congress, Democrats again protesting all night, this time against the confirmation of Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions for Attorney General. The debate turning contentious after Republican senators formally silenced Senator Elizabeth Warren.
She had appeared to violate the rule. She was warned. She was given an explanation. Nevertheless, she persisted.
Warren read the decades-old words of Ted Kennedy and Coretta Scott King, who opposed Sessions' bid to become a federal judge in the 80s.
I am surprised that the words of Coretta Scott King are not suitable for debate in the United States Senate.
Some of Warren's Democratic colleagues read the same letter from Coretta Scott King on the Senate floor that led to her sanction, but none of them suffered the same punishment. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
Florida legislators are following the president's lead in condemning sanctuary cities. Legislation is once again being filed in Tallahassee known as the Rule of Law Adherence Act. The measure would punish cities and counties that don't enforce federal deportation orders. Communities which violate the order could face fines of up to $5,000 per day. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.